Good afternoon. This call to order the Urban Forestry Board meeting on Monday, December 8th at 3 o'clock. Do roll call
Chair Burke,
here.
Vice Chair Kohler,
Here.
and Board Member Curtis.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. We'll get the approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to the approval of November 10th minutes.
I have a couple of comments on page 2. So under 6B, staff updates, I think there's a redundancy with the word WERE. So if you remove were after removal of trees, and the sentence makes better sense. And then in number 7, I suggest that we add after the large ponderosa along Whitehouse Creek to specify that is between 451 and 507 South Locust Street.
Noted.
Okay, that's all for me.
Can we get a motion for the edited minutes?
Yeah. I move to approve the minutes from the UFB meeting from November 10th, 2025.
As edited.
As added to.
As edited.
As edited.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Visitor communication?
We have no visitor
We
communication.
do not have anybody. So moving on, our guest speaker with the OSU Extension Service. This is Sarah Lowe, Assistant Professor. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Should I just launch into some thoughts and questions?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thank you for inviting me to this presentation or to your meeting today. I was in the Redmond area for an OSU alumni event about maybe it was like 2 months ago now, 3 months ago, something like that. And some folks from Sisters told me I really had to talk to you. And basically was confirmed like in a meeting a couple days later that there really would be make a lot of sense for me to get in touch with you. And so really appreciate having a chance to be here. Just to update you a little bit, I have a dual role. My role is Urban Forestry Extension Specialist, and also I am Assistant Professor of Practice teaching classes in the Forest Ecosystems and Society Department at OSU. The extension part of the position, the urban forestry position, there are 2 of us. Jennifer Killian and I are both urban forestry extension specialists, and we're relatively new in that role, and the roles are relatively new to OSU. So having urban forestry extension specialists is something that we didn't walk into a program or anything. We're kind of developing it and trying to do our due diligence to understand the needs of the communities that we serve in Oregon. Our positions are statewide, so we are trying to find a good way to apply extension resources throughout the state. I thought you might be interested in hearing some of the things that are kind of on my mind as priorities for me for the next year. There's room to wiggle if it doesn't make sense, or if there are pressing needs that emerge that require kind of changing course. But I'm always open. I'm open to feedback on that, and also have some questions for you about kind of what your needs are, what opportunities you might see for extension supporting the work that you're doing, or kind of things like that. So how's that sound?
Sounds good. Good.
Okay, great. So what I have worked out for my work plan for next year is based on things I've been hearing from community members and from urban foresters and from other tree care professionals in the state. I've come up with 4 things. One, I got out of some feedback from Central Oregon, which is to convene a regional knowledge exchange or community practice, something like that, around urban forestry issues. And this would be really, the extension would be providing kind of the facilitating and the convening role in this, but it would be really an opportunity for communities throughout Central Oregon to get together and kind of share best practices, find support in dealing with emerging issues, that sort of thing. And then, of course, us in Extension being able to maybe fill some of those needs if it makes sense. So, for instance, I know fire is a big issue for everybody right now, and kind of thinking about how to navigate that. We do have a big fire team, and I've spoken to them about the possibility of having a guest speaker role, something like that, to kind of get feedback on their perspectives. The second thing that I'm focusing on potentially is trees for schools. There's been some interest in other parts of the state of engaging high school students around learning about green jobs and specifically arboriculture and urban forestry, and then using that training and skill building to apply those resources towards schools themselves and greening schools. So seeing Extension or my role in particular as an opportunity to support this kind of experiential learning with high school students and possibly beyond. A third one is online community stewards training. Idea here being that we get a lot of requests from lots of organizations throughout the state and from community members who are really looking for ways to engage in their community around urban forestry. And this would be an opportunity for someone to take kind of a rigorous course on things that are kind of appropriate for community members to do, things like basic pruning from the ground, things like how to organize your neighborhood, how to work with your municipality, how to plant and care for trees, establishing trees, that sort of thing. So I've kind of outlined a bunch of things that I think might be useful for community members based on my experience teaching similar kinds of program in person. But doing an online version of this would allow us to reach all sorts of communities and then to have this possibility of doing kind of a spin-offs. So if a community had done the a number of community members had done the training and they thought, well, we'd really like to dive deep on tree inventory, or we really like to dive deep on establishing or monitoring trees, something like that, or establishing trees, then we might do like a workshop just around that for that community. And then the fourth one is this kind of a multi-state effort around urban tree root quality. It's called the I always get the words all mixed up, but Urban Tree Root Quality Alliance. It's made up of all sorts of professionals doing propagation, procurement, establishment of trees, and really trying to hone in on very specifically the issue of improving the root quality of trees that are grown in containers and planted out in communities. We run into, you're probably familiar with this, but we run into a lot of issues around root quality, in particular coming out of nurseries. Sometimes there's girdled roots, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done just to get the trees ready to plant. And that effort to get trees ready to plant often doesn't happen. Community members aren't always aware of what they need to do to prepare the roots for planting. Likewise, even contractors may know that it's good, but might not make sense from a time perspective. So one of the goals of this particular group is to try to learn more about air pruning, or not learn more, but to work with folks who have been very successful with air pruning pots specifically, and get what some nurseries are starting to call kind of like root ready, or basically that they arrive from the nursery with their roots already being really high quality, no circling, no girdling, and ready to plant in the ground so that a person planting doesn't need to know how to straighten roots or prune roots in order for you to have good success. So that is with people throughout the country, but has huge impact on Oregon because so many of the trees planted throughout the world, not the world, throughout the country are coming out of Oregon. So those are kind of the some of the things that I'm up to in this upcoming year. There's still some room to adjust a little bit. So if I'm really eager to hear some of your perspectives, I guess one, I'd love to invite some feedback on that. But then I have some other questions I'd kind of like to ask you too.
Well, thanks for taking time and sharing that. I do have one. What is an air pruning pot?
Oh yeah. So Brian Kemp and some other people since then. Brian Kemp in California kind of designed this plastic pot that has holes, basically big holes on the side, and you can use various media to line that. It allows the roots to grow basically straight. They end up growing straight out of the container instead of hitting the plastic edges and running around the outside of the edge of the container. And when the roots like hit the air, the tips of the roots die. They basically die off, and so you end up having really thick roots within the container, but you don't have any of the circling because instead of hitting the plastic and running along the edge, which causes the circling and girdling roots that we see as really problematic. Even if it's not corrected at planting, it can cause tree failures when the tree is mature and that sort of thing. So the more we kind of get a handle on it, the better we can improve planting success. I mean, long-term success too. But that's basically the idea, is like just encouraging the roots to grow out instead of around. And when they grow out and hit that air, they just kind of trim off, and they keep growing until they're planted. Yeah, does that answer your question?
I mean, I grew up in a landscape family, and so kind of curious on just that. I'd never seen it, never used it, and didn't have any issues with the plants dying when we put them in the ground. So
Yeah, and a lot of folks who are experienced are doing things like, teasing the roots and also purchasing materials that they that have, from people who have really great material already. If you're like, certainly if you're like in the landscaping world, then you probably have favorite people that you like to work with because you have good success with their plants, and sometimes that is really because really good care has been taken of the roots, but we don't really worry about it when the plant does well. It's only when we see the plants aren't doing well, then we start wondering, what's going on. And so we start seeing this when we kind of go to scale and plant thousands of trees in communities.
Well, I appreciate all of the ideas that you shared, and most especially having a regional exchange with other Central Oregon communities, I think would be really helpful.
Great.
Also, trees for schools. I know that we here in Sisters could do a better job from the Urban Forestry Board perspective of engaging with schools. And I know there's just been a new greenhouse erected, I think, at the elementary school. And so there's definitely a need to have more trees propagated, and that would just be a great opportunity for us. I'd like to learn more about any programs that exist for that, and also relative to community online training. We do have a tree inventory here, but it's several years old now, and was done, my understanding, using eclectic sources of data, so it's not robust. So it would be great for us and Sisters anyway to learn more, get more trained on that. And I know Avery has mentioned tools that exist that are getting better and better to automate some of the data input and learn things like what's the percentage canopy cover currently in sisters, and what's our goal going forward to either maintain, increase, or decrease that? We do have a lot of fire concern here.
I'm just taking a couple notes. Thank you. Yeah, you're really lucky to have Avery working with you. So that's great. And I was imagining one of the modules being for this community tree stewards training being on tree inventory. Though of course every community's got nuances with the data that you're already working with, and also with your needs in terms of, or sort of like time commitment and what you really need. And that I'm sure Avery's probably mentioned this too, that different softwares require different amounts of information to be added to them, and different levels of ease with community members contributing to data collection. But yeah, as much as you like our support on that, tree inventories have definitely popped up as a need throughout the state.
Yeah, and I would, so my background is in wildland fire, community education, and forestry, and so I really focus a little bit more on the fire ecology and forest ecosystems and health. And so I do work with Ariel Cohen with Extension.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah. I do want to emphasize that, I think that it's really like these online communities for learning, especially, and then also the high school and kind of these community practice or knowledge exchanges. I work with Ariel and a bunch of practitioners on wildfire education partnerships throughout the region. And so I would there's been so much work done locally on especially like stand density and fuel reduction in the surrounding community and, landscapes around sisters and honestly throughout Central Oregon, that that there's care taken from the urban forestry extension on what does forest health look like, when is it appropriate, and what types of species to plant, and really like the historical context of our forests and like the stand density. And then also that the mature trees are, especially mature ponderosas, are a lot more fire resilient.
Yes, Ariel's the the person I was referencing. Yeah. I would not talk about fire without her really in your region. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you seeing? Oh, go ahead.
And then I know that there's a parcel of land that the school district, sister school district, I believe, I don't remember, I think they manage it as like an outdoor classroom, but it's owned by the Deschutes Land Trust, the Trout Creek property. And they kind of use that as an outdoor outdoor classroom. And I think there's an upcoming fuel reduction project on that too, which, I don't know, is that within city limits, or is it's probably just outside of city limits? Yeah. But it's not far.
Are you imagining some extension opportunities there, or?
It could be like worth a discussion if you're kind of super.
Yeah. Any other sort of feedback or comments about what I've shared so far?
I can ask a question. I don't know if you can see me, sir. Something might be off.
Oh, I can. Hello. Hey, Avery.
And I was thinking that something that I've been noticing the last few months, especially and through this past summer, was the amount of bark beetle kill that we
Oh.
here in town. And I think there is some awareness about it, but I do think that could be really beneficial for us to educate our community and also some of our local arborists on best practices to kind of prevent a lot of what I see kind of like unnecessary summer pruning going on, that kind of encourages bark beetle infestation. And I think it would be, somewhere in maybe in that Central Oregon ideas exchange you're talking about. Could be something like that, but I kind of, for sisters specifically, I see that being kind of an interesting point.
Are you seeing that mostly with arborists or pretty shared between community members doing their own pruning and arborists pruning on behalf of community members?
I've noticed arborist pruning in the summer or arborist companies, and then I've noticed contractors, like big jobs. We had a big development over here and they went ahead and pruned a couple acres of trees in summer and then left the slash for a couple months. And they may have gotten rid of it in time, but things like that where I'm going, well,
So it's a slash after the cutting that fosters the leaf beetle?
can attract. Yeah, can attract and harbor it if it's not dealt with. If it's chipped up and removed from the site, that would be fine. But if the slash is left on the ground, especially in certain diameter wood, that could harbor, especially during the summer because some bark beetles have like 2 or 3 generations during the summer. So there's a specific period of time where you don't want them to have that habitat available to populate, reproduce.
I really like that. I mean, that's like really the kind of thing that's sort of in our wheelhouse. I could imagine, love your feedback on this, but I could imagine us providing some kind of web article and then helping you promote that through what we will have a newsletter at some point for community members, and we'll be trying to promote that newsletter to community members throughout. So, do you think that would be supportive?
Yeah, that could be really cool.
Okay, cool.
Something that's kind of unique about sisters is we're such a heavily dominated, like single species urban forest here. We just have so much ponderosa. So
Yeah, and the proximity. I mean, just the integration of the ponderosa pine with the land, the buildings, and everything is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and not to like bang on the fire drum, but I was also thinking because there's just so much outreach done to prune up your ponderosas, that the education of timing and what to do with for, I think those things could go really hand in hand. Like that's something, um, with the message of, prepare for fire season. That's the best time of year to do that and when to avoid doing it.
I love that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I imagine that's part of the motivation for that pruning.
A
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Any other comments or feedback or?
Just the state of Oregon is gonna be needing to deal with this pruning and cleanup because, I mean, like our local landfill is about ready to shut off the ability for us to take all of our branches and pine needles.
Mm,
So they want us to be, fire wise, protect and cutting and whatnot, but we're not gonna have anywhere to go.
Yep.
This is gonna escalate to a state problem pretty quick.
mm. Let's see, is there like, are there alternatives already set up or no?
Nope, where it is really set up right now. So it's either you get a burn permit and burn it, put smoke in the atmosphere, or
I know.
leave it on the ground and there's beetle problem. So
Yeah, and I know like fire districts and like Deschutes County and ODF are applying for grants to get air curtain burners, but
Mhm.
the expense, you know, it's a small dent that, yeah.
yeah, the efficiency for the amount of product is not there yet. So yeah, just a lot of open-ended questions with regards to that topic, and at a city level, it's pretty challenging on what we can and can't do or try to help with that process. So
I mean, this does sound like something that maybe could be part of a conversation with that knowledge exchange or community practice or whatever it was to be called. That maybe as communities sort of united around this, you could or we could kind of come up with some shared solutions or
Yeah, these conversations are already going on.
oh, are so you are talking with other community members about this? I mean, sorry, communities.
At the urban forestry board and with our neighboring cities, but in the fire department world, fire service world.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that. I'm working on a like what to do um with your slash or wood waste web article right now, and I was actually not really sure that it made that much sense to do it. So I feel like maybe there's an opportunity to change it a little bit so that it fits that need a little bit too. I had a few questions for you. Do you still have time, or I've gotten a lot of great feedback from you. So if you're looking to move on, I understand that too.
I just wanted to add one thing if you're working on an article on that topic. If you're not aware, Sun River does an extensive job with taking in slash and making it into compost and really well organized. And they also have a program called Project Ponderosa that works through the Nature Center that propagates and plants up small Ponderosas for sale. We do here in Sisters for our Arbor Day celebrations. But they have really worked through for years and years how to deal with splash and garden debris with local landscapers and just local folks, FYI.
Yeah, that is terrific. And one of the things, and you've maybe noticed this, is like one of the struggles is providing statewide materials when really there are regional differences in how people are handling it and specific opportunities in some places that aren't in others. So I really appreciate hearing that, and I maybe think about how that could be incorporated in a way that is an opportunity for shared learning with other, throughout the state. Great, thank you. That was really good. If there's still time, I would love to know what issues are most pressing to you. We've talked about fire a little bit and bark beetles, and I took note of some of the things that you've talked about. But if there's anything else that hasn't come up so far that you would like me to know, that you'd like me to share with my colleagues, I'm absolutely happy to hear that. And then kind of following up with that is how we might be able to support you as we develop our urban forestry program. And I'll say I'd also like to stay in conversation, so I don't intend to go anywhere. It's not like a one-time thing. You can think about it and reach back later or invite me to come back later. I'm always happy to talk.
What are common verbiage or documentation for people to remove trees on their property within cities that you come across?
Could you rephrase that? Or could you say that again?
We just had a change in our policy that all homeowners need to turn in an application to remove trees on their property. Is that common in the state? Uncommon? Or is there other cities that have that policy that you know of?
I don't know if I can say whether it's common or uncommon. Yeah, kind of coming from the science background, I feel like I would need to do like a full assessment to really answer that question. But I know there are other communities that do require that in their tree codes. And a lot that are moving towards that, and then a few that have moved away from it. So it's not unusual, I would say.
Do you have any examples of those communities so we can review their?
I could get back to you with that.
Some of the stuff we're just implementing for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
like heritage tree,
Yeah.
of having to turn in paperwork to remove trees on private property within city limits. And so if there's other people that have, or other cities that have already done the legwork, it'd be nice to see how it's going and what verbiage we can steal from them.
Yeah, I feel like that's something we could share.
Pat, generally, I think they call it a private tree ordinance versus the public tree ordinance, so if that helps. That's like
Okay.
the term they some cities have private tree ordinances and others don't. but-
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very important verbiage.
So Sarah, one thing I was thinking is we just
Yeah.
had, throughout the last few months, we've kind of reviewed our urban forestry management plan that we have for Sisters. And we've we kind of had a bunch of ideas, and I think at some point we might be able to review that and provide that information to you as well, like some of the things. We talked about so many things, so I can't recall exactly what the top priorities were, but off the top of my head, but that might be kind of fun to do as a group, I thought too, and maybe next month we could get back to you with some of those findings or some of our review, how that
Oh,
went.
yeah. I would love that. Yeah, that would be really great. Well, if you have anything else, please let me know. I think everybody should have my contact information now. And yeah, and like Avery said, if you're talking about this again next month, I mean, if you're talking about your urban forest management plan, absolutely be happy to come back next month. And yeah,
Well, thank you for your time and
yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
be in touch.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna leave now if that's all right, unless you
Yeah, that's
would like
okay.
me to stay. Should I stay? Actually, maybe I should stay.
You're more than welcome to.
Okay, I'll just go on mute then.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything to add to presentation? Any questions?
Oh, good.
All good? Were we able to get her contact info? You have
I'll
it?
be happy to share that with you guys.
Okay.
Great. That'd be helpful.
Good. So I think that'd be someone that we could reach out to for some guidance on
Absolutely.
some of this. So, moving on to the workshop, our Tree City USA application. I did not see any issues, but I also really wasn't sure what I knew what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Likewise.
so it was, I think early November, I got in there on the, Arbor Day Foundation website, had Jackson compile kind of our numbers, then put that, application through. This morning, I got into the office and saw that our growth award application was accepted and approved by the Arbor Day Foundation and the ODF kind of state forestry level. So we should be receiving that. And I expect our Tree City USA application to go through as well. So
Great.
we should be getting those. If you guys are curious, I do have kind of just a end of year roundup of some of the numbers that are sort of hard to read in this application attachment. I'd be happy to share those with you guys.
Yeah. Can I have the Cliff Notes version?
Yeah, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I'm pulling up the email I got from Jackson here. Most of kind of what the Tree City USA application kind of looks for is just a broad overview of volunteer time, some of your monetary costs, or what is it, the per capita kind of spend your city has. I think in order to get the Tree City award, it's $2 per capita. I think we were just over $4 total per capita. And we included things like, about 40 volunteers for the Arbor Day plantings at 1 hour apiece, and then also your time as board members volunteering. We included those as numbers as well. So 6 volunteers, about 20 hours a year. We planted 41 trees at that Arbor Day event. Our arborist and city staff pruned or maintained about 50 trees throughout the city. And it looks like we had 21 removals due to death, disease, hazardous circumstances, things like that.
So we had a net win of 20.
And that helped with the application, right? They like to see more trees planted than removed. And then as far as some budget items, just over $8,000 for removals, pruning and maintenance for city arborist.
Do we account for any of our city employees?
I believe that is included on the next line item I have coming. So about $6,400 for public works, kind of city staff time on tree maintenance, etc. And then just over $3,000 for our urban forest management, kind of coming mostly through Avery. And then just shy of $200, I think, for kind of maintaining our small little nursery out there, the plantings and stuff like that, mostly for the Arbor Day event.
So we do and have the last 3 years purchased trees specifically for Arbor Day. And where is that in here? Or do you know?
I don't have that answer.
Okay.
I have to look into that one.
Okay.
That's really my update on that whole process. It kind of became a simple update when I woke up and saw everything went through and should be approved. So yeah, happy to get Sister the Tree City and the Growth Award. I don't think we've had a Growth Award for a while now.
Yeah, that's great news. Great
Yeah.
that we got the Growth Award again.
I could just add one thing, if you guys are interested in those numbers and stuff, there's a presentation that just came out a little earlier this year. I think Dr. Rich Howard, he did a nationwide census. It's done every 10 years, and I think they did it in 2024, so you can compare our community to nationwide averages, and as far as like dollars spent per capita and how communities of our size are also faring. So they can kind of break them down by population. Pretty fascinating, I thought. It's kind of surprising too, some of the information that's out there. But if you all are interested, just shoot me an email and I could share that with you.
Hey everybody, this is Jackson tuning in from Hood River. I do know, I believe last year Emmy got a grant for our Arbor Day planting in 2025. I don't recall exactly how much that was. I would be looking that up if the hotel Wi-Fi was cooperating, but I can definitely get back to you folks on that later.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jackson.
Not in there on this.
I was here.
Any more info on the Tree City USA application? All good?
The end of my report.
Perfect.
Thanks for doing that, Casey.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good news.
Move on to the Urban Forestry 2026 work plan.
Yeah, quick little intro. Again, this is one of the things that I was pondering over, submitting up to the Arbor Day Foundation. Again, kind of new in my role here, but they would like to see these little kind of month-by-month breakdowns of our work plan. And Jackson and I are just looking for a review of kind of this draft plan we have for 26. If you guys have any suggestions, revisions, modifications, yeah, we're open to your feedback.
I have a question. So some months indicate that there's a UFB board meeting and some months it's not in there.
Okay, well,
I
they
didn't know
should
if that was intentional. It was just more.
No, we can add that bullet point.
Like, I'm planning on being here.
Yes.
Be here every month.
Yeah, the minimum for the board, per the resolution that established the board, is for every other month meeting,
Okay.
or more as needed. So we typically have information for you folks on a monthly basis, but we shoot for every other month as a minimum.
Okay, I see that represented in here. Thanks.
One thing, Casey, that we had chatted about, and we're still working on it, but maybe we'll add it at a certain point, is that, when the campground is out of season,
Mhm.
some maintenance in there.
Yep.
So this is great, having this spelled out month by month. I noticed, September, October, November, December, there's a line item, convene Arbor Day event planning task force.
Mhm.
And this coming January, February, March, it says staff coordination for the Arbor Day event. So, for historical perspective, the last 2 years there has been active involvement from the Urban Forestry Board on Arbor Day.
Mhm.
So I've been involved 2 years. The first year, Rebecca Green and I did a lot. And then last year, Bridget Tinsley and I did a lot. And I think it would be great if that could be expanded. We did try to include like Sisters Rec, but it really didn't go very far. We have included in the past Upper Deschutes Watershed Council. So a goal of mine is to make that a smoother and more coordinated, well-greased effort
Sure.
in the
Okay.
future, but it has been happening.
Okay, so you're just, looking maybe to just expand that out another month or two, or?
No, it's not about the number of months. It's
Okay.
about like in January, February, and March, you could just add staff and Urban Forestry Board, or staff and Urban Forestry Board and community coordination for
Okay,
the Arbor Day event. Like one of the issues that came up the last couple of years is how much do we really want to explain and promote that this is going to happen?
Mhm.
So there's some tension about how many people really do you want to show up versus how many people can we host. So, more proactive thinking about that
okay,
ahead of, say, March.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's probably dependent on the location and the project, right?
Yes.
We didn't want a lot of kids running out the street this last year.
Yeah, we had a lot of concerns about where it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, different than the Creekside riparian area.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
That'd be good. I think. Don't really have anything else to add to it. The calendar is definitely nice seeing it. We're doing this for a handful of years, never really put it down on paper like this before, so.
Yeah, I think this looks great. I also realize what I'm about to say, capacity, like staff and volunteer, and kind of going back to that, I'm looking at the monitor urban forest for beetle activity. It could be interesting to like maybe if Avery in the city or the UFB wanted to host like a demonstration on how to monitor for that. So that folks know what to look for on their, I'm not even, I end up sharing information to reach out to ODF, but I get asked that a lot as well in my role for work.
Mhm.
So I think it could be really beneficial.
No, that's interesting, because oftentimes when we're noticing the trees fully dead, there's not a lot that can be done. If we notice early enough in the kind of fall, winter season, that maybe a tree's being impacted or starting to decline, there's an opportunity to maybe remove that tree, get rid of the beetle activity there. So I could see where that could be valuable. I think it could make for a little bit more complicated conversations. It's easy when the tree's dead. When you're in that mix, we already have a challenge sometimes with deciding. So it would be good to think through. If you were to inventory for trees that seem to have impact over the, winter season, how would you address that? But there's definitely opportunity, I think. I've been maybe starting to notice some, and I'd like to maybe put them in the inventory. Because sometimes you notice sign and then you go, oh, well, actually it was fine. That was something else. Who knows, what's in the tree. But it might be a cool way to have the capacity to be able to put that in our tree inventory online or on, to be able to say, hey, let's monitor this guy. Let's see what's going on with that tree.
I think that would be just selfishly interesting for me because I'm often the guy that gets the call to go out there. I mean, they're easy when they're brown, dead.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We want to put a note in here on reviewing, like our heritage tree policy or paperwork or.
Sure.
Also like, the private tree ordinance verbiage or, the public tree ordinance verbiage, our approved tree list, our replacement tree or prohibited trees, just for us to get eyes on once a year.
Okay.
And we just space those out and, but not saying we have to have a workshop on them, but at least we can review them and go over it just so we're familiar with it.
Has the private tree ordinance been out for a year now? Or so?
It's I've guesstimated about a year.
It'd be interesting to know how many permits have been submitted. If any.
Over a year, only because we had to submit one last year.
Oh, okay. You did?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it'd be fascinating to know how many were received and what the outcomes were of those. Although I guess there is an interesting dynamic of that being the planning commission's role, maybe,
Correct.
in this case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have excellent line of sight to those private tree removal permits, but those are numbers I can dig up pretty easily. Yeah.
Sounds good. Any other questions on the work plan? Good. I don't think we need a motion or anything. I was just paying attention.
Yep.
Any board member comments?
We submitted an addendum to our Heritage Grove application to the state. And the state is their Heritage Tree Committee is gonna meet January, like the first week of January. So hopefully we'll get a formal response by then, but I'm also expecting to hear something from our contact probably this week sometime. Feedback on the addendum. They wanted more documentation and perspective on brief statements we made in the original application. So we've done that.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Emily, do you have anything?
Nope.
Nope. Moving on to city council liaison comments. Is there anything you would like to add to our meeting today?
I actually was just thinking as you're talking about inventories and stuff, thinking forward and just planting the seed of, how you want to handle that as we expand. It's going to be a couple years probably before we get any new land in here. But if you bring in an annexed land, how that fits in and what kind of information you're looking for as that happens, just kind of plant it in there and let it float around. That'll probably be one. Yeah, how to integrate that in. And then I'm here if you have any questions for me about what's going on. I'll tell you if I know.
And that's a good idea prior to annexation to have that kind of priority list of what we need and want to know about trees on lands that might come in soon,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
I know in some communities like that can happen at the final inspection of private development sometimes. So for example, we have a new development coming on and supposedly they're planting so many trees in the right of way. At that time is a nice time to inventory the trees when everything's still fresh and okay, here's what they produce. But then all that private land, it's a little different too. That's a little bit of a different package as far as like what trees are there and how they might be inventoried at some of the.
Yeah, and then that would probably be a good time to require information from the developers.
Yeah.
So, we're just winging it. I'm, learning about this annexation. I think most of us have been through that before, so yeah. Let's get it one step at a time.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
not sure how to do that yet, but we'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Be a big lift. Yeah.
Different things that I guess you specifically care about, and you think, just run that UGB through the head and to say, hey, does this matter to that? And so if there's data points that you're looking for at some point, we can get that looped into the process somewhere.
Okay. Well, with that, I think our meeting has come to an end.
I didn't get a mark in this agenda,
You're right.
but I just have a
didn't send
couple.
that.
It'll take me just a minute real quick. I have a couple.
Avery, is there anything that you had to add?
I already added a lot. I just had three things. So last month I had the opportunity to go to the National Urban Forestry Conference. It's pretty cool. It was held in Henderson, Nevada, kind of close to Las Vegas, which was really interesting for me because it's a little drier, arid community. Usually it's held in Portland or somewhere. Got a lot of wet side trees and stuff, but this was cool for me to see that kind of desert dry side stuff. And there was a couple of things that I just picked up on there that I thought you all might have interest in. One of them was that there's this tree campus K through 12 program that I didn't know about. There's only one tree campus K through 12 in Oregon on the map right now. So there may be some more people putting their applications in right now, but pretty cool. I think our school district seems kind of excited about trees and they have some capacity. Other school districts, are more limited in their ability to engage with that kind of thing. But it's like a pretty cool deal where they have curriculum and everything to be able to kind of provide to the school, and the school chooses to, in the same way that city, there's certain requirements they have to meet. And then the kids get a little bit of curriculum throughout the thing. They maybe do a little bit of maintenance on their trees in the schoolyard, and then they become tree campus K through 12. So kind of cool if we do a planting at a school. Maybe we also could community wise, encourage them, hey, help set up the school so they could become tree campus K through 12, and then the kids would get education on trees. Could be a cool opportunity if we have, interest and capacity in that. There's another program that I think we're uniquely suited for. It's called Forests in Cities, and it's put on by the Natural Areas Conservancy. It's a nationwide group right now, and they're growing it. It's a young organization, but they're basically trying to convene and create different templates and formats and structures for people to help communities, municipalities manage their urban natural areas and forest remnants, of which we have kind of a lot here in Sisters. So we have that property out between the wastewater facility, our campground. For the size that we have a lot of natural areas, which I think is really cool. And they've put together, well, I'll go back a couple steps. One thing that I found encouraging about it is that many cities struggle to develop strategies for maintaining these kind of areas because it's a municipality. It's not really set up to be a natural resource management system. They're trying to give you that kind of information and connect different communities, and they were inviting people to join their network. So I thought, hey, that might be kind of cool if people are interested in joining that network. There might be ways in which we can provide issues that we have that they could help us deal with, or that we could just look to them for guidance. Because some New York cities in there's some big cities with very complicated issues dealing with how to manage their natural areas. So we could kind of look to that if we wanted to. And then the last thing that I had was the Sustainable Forestry Initiative is another nationwide group that has they've developed an urban forestry standard. So it's kind of like having an urban forestry management plan, but it's a third-party certification. So you put forth your plan and they'll kind of keep you to task in a way, like say, hey, are you doing these things? Are you, because it's one thing to say you're doing it and then to record it for yourself. And Tree City USA, for example, is like self-reporting. This SFI urban forestry is a little bit more complex, and it's a little bit more encouraging people to continue to expand and grow their programs. It could be kind of a big ask, but they're offering pretty big grants. So that's why I wanted to bring it up to you is, typically I would say maybe that's a little beyond our capacity, but they're offering these grants so that you could become some of the first people to be qualified through these standards. And you probably wouldn't have to pay anything for it. So you might even be able to get a consultant to help you build out that program. So kind of a unique opportunity. I don't know if it necessarily fits with us right now, but the grant was offline for a little while, and then just determined, okay, they are going to be able to keep that funding. They are going to be able to provide it. So they were excited about trying to get people to sign up for that grant and start participating in this pretty new program. But that's all I have.
Do you know how much the grants are for? Is there a limit?
I don't know the exact detail, but I could share you a thing, and I was reading anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 it was showing in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if a city the size of Sisters would need that much funding to produce, to qualify for their standard, but I saw that a few times as I was reading through, but I didn't see the limits or the details yet.
It sounds really, oh, sorry.
Yeah, just thank you. Yeah, that's all interesting information.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Do you have an idea of what some of those like standards are?
Yeah, well, there's a pretty big list. And so what they've done at SFI, because they want people to adopt this and they recognize not every city is going to be able to adopt the entire package. So they broke down the whole package into 4 different thematic groups. Some of them are focused on natural resources. Some of them are focused on community engagement. Others are focused on environmental justice and tree equity, getting those trees in the right neighborhoods. And others, I forget what the last thematic group is, but so you can qualify full spectrum, or you can go for like a smaller
Chunk.
chunk, and that might be more approachable. So, and I'd be glad to share that. I can send it in an email maybe to
Yeah,
Casey
appreciate that.
afterward.
Yeah, that sounds really
the links to
interesting.
that.
I mean, it all sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a thing where the SFI has decided, Tree City USA is cool, but it's self-reporting. And so it's nice to have somebody actually looking and saying, hey, okay, you guys are up to the standard. You're really doing what you said you're doing. So that's it for me.
Sounds good. Oh, sorry for skipping.
No, no problem. I think it was, I was thinking, I was looking in there, go, oh yeah, I missed it.
You were not on the
On the
approved
agenda.
agenda.
Alrighty, well, I think that wraps us up, 4 o'clock. We'll see everybody in a month on January 12th. I will be here as planned. I'm not on shift that day. So, thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
We got new boss in town. I think he's gonna let me